Hi everyone, this is Anthony Ware from the 100 Academy of Sport. I work with strength and conditioning and athlete development. We're going to go through some results of your recent fitness testing and screening. So starting on the bottom left there, it's got the general volleyball performance measures, which were standard areas that we had to look at and focus on. And then the top column there, squat mechanics, movement screening, and some sprints are some things that we added in extra with 100 Academy as well. So starting from the bottom left there, standing height, sitting height, and arm span, all in centimetres. And ideally, we want to have a look at how the arm span and standing height, we want those numbers to be pretty much the same, or even arm span slightly longer. Your weight just in kilos, and it's got their peak height velocity, which it gives us a bit of an idea or indication about when an athlete will have their major point in time of growth spurt. So 14.5 means the age of the person, how far away that is. So this particular person will have their peak height velocity, or the time where they grow at the fastest rate will be about 14 and a half years of age. So it gives us an indication about when they're going to do their growing, how far maybe before or behind them it is, and potential injury and performance issues that will go with that as well. Vertical jump measures, we have a counter movement jump and a spike approach vertical jump measure as well. So it's got their three different columns, the blue, the orange, and the grey. So in the blue is the individual's result, so 47 centimetres. The regional expectation is about 50, and a state expectation is about 60 centimetres there. So for the spike approach there, it's got 63, should be bigger if you get a little bit of a run-up with a spike approach. 63, we said the regional expectation is about 60, state expectation about 70 centimetres. Now looking at the top columns there, it's got the squat mechanics. Basically, we've presented this in a spiderweb type design. I like these because it shows lots of information at once. So basically, it starts from a very small circle if you're doing poor in those areas, and which is a 0, right? If it's a tiny small spider web, and will gradually get larger if it's a larger spider web. So 0 means a poor score, through to 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 means quite a high score. So going from the top and working around clockwise, parallel tibia to trunk is a measure of someone's flexibility when they're squatting, the mechanics of their shin to trunk. So ideally you want a 3 or more on most of these as well. So VLL, valgus lunging left, so how stable someone's hip is and how flexible their ankle is, to valgus lunging left and right. You can see there valgus squatting, left and right, also gives us an idea about hip stability, proprioception around the ankle, flexibility around the ankle. So this one as well, looking at neutral spine, gives us an idea about when someone squats, what sort of position their trunk is and how well they use their core. So overall, this particular athlete there, you can see they're about a 3 or more for each one. Ideally, we want to be a 3 or more for these particular areas in squat mechanics. Valgus loading, ideally, if you have valgus loading patterns, it means that there's some improvement in stability and mechanics. So like I said, the larger your spider web, the better you score, closer to a 5. So movement screening up the top there in the next one. So ASLR L is active straight leg raise, which is an idea of active flexibility of the lower body. So this particular person has scored pretty well, right and left sides. They've got a 4 out of 5. Shoulder mobility, which gives us an idea about your thoracic or mid-spine flexibility and shoulder joint flexibility as well. So shoulder mobility for this person on the left wasn't fantastic, on the right was okay. We also look at push-ups as far as strength and form goes. So even though you might be able to punch out a number of push-ups, what sort of form do you have, which is really important as well. So how straight does someone's core is, and what sort of position they're in when they're actually pushing is really important. So we score them out of 5 for form and out of 5 for strength. So this particular person has got a 5 out of 5 for strength. They easily push out lots of push-ups and have good strength, but their form is only a 4 out of 5. So there's some few little core stability things to fix up there. And the other one around the corner there at about the 11 o'clock is the TE, so thoracic extension, how much flexibility to have through the thoracic part of the spine. If it's poor, generally overhead reaching is not fantastic, or they're limited with some sort of flexibility overhead. So movement screening tells us a lot about what sort of things someone needs to work on for their movements that are specific for volleyball as well. The last column there, the 5 and 10 metre sprints, once again, same as the vertical jumps, gives us a bit of an indication of the individual scores. So 5 metre sprint, about 0.99, so that's 0.9 metres per second. Ideally, we're at about a 105, which is the regional expectation. And for a state level volleyballer, about 0.95, which is pretty fast. That's under 1 second for 5 metres. For a 10-metre sprint, this individual scored 1.77, which is pretty fast. Regional expectations about 1.85, and a state expectation is about 1.75 metres per second. So this athlete is pretty fast. They jump pretty well, particularly on a spike approach. But the focus areas for this particular athlete would be more the movement screenings and the squat mechanics. So performance-wise, they've scored pretty well. But from the screening point of view, from the stability and mechanic point of view, there's definitely a few things there to work on, which we can emphasise with the exercise programs that you have with your portfolio. Alrighty, so having a quick look at this diagram, this is straight out of your Volleyball Australia information. It gives us a bit of a look at how they recruit some of the junior athletes. So to emphasise how important the performance and screening side is, looking down the left at the coloured chart there, we've got athletic performance. So if you excel from an athletic point of view, potential recruitment opportunities will be open. Now, maybe if you athletically aren't doing so well, height is a big advantage as well. So for females, over 1.8, for fellas over 1.95 is a consideration as well. If you're below those heights as well, arm span as well, which means basically that your arm length from tip to tip, horizontal measure, if that's longer than your height, that's a high consideration as well. If you don't fall into any one of those categories, recruitment for you at a high level, at the national level, is very, very hard. So for the athlete potentially who's not overly tall, or also does not have a long arm span, really the only way to get through from a recruitment point of view is to be highly athletic. Now, at a high level, for an athlete who does have good height and a good arm span as well, if they're also athletic, that stands them in a major advantage at the same time. So just explains a little bit about the recruitment process with this flow chart there and what sort of things that they're looking at from a high level. So you can be in a state program looking to get into a national program, but if your athleticism is not there across the board, you'll find it really hard to get through. So just a quick explanation of where we're at and the recruitment process for academy through the state, through the national programs. Remembering too, if you have any other questions for Hunter Academy and strength and conditioning training, or you'd like some more explanations with your screening, please get in contact with me through Team App, or you can get in contact with me through my email details through the Hunter Academy of Sport. Thanks, this is Anthony Webb.